Hello there, I'm Dominic St-Pierre, and you're listening to Go Podcast. I'm a good old software engineer, I would call myself a normal software engineer. I just like to build things and things like that. And, quickly recap. So we have this Slack channel. If you want to join, that would be nice. If you are on the Gopher Slack community already, the channel is Go Podcast. So we are there. I'm trying to be a better community builder. It's hard for me because I don't know how to do those things, but I'm trying to. Thank you for if you want to join and participate, hopefully. There's this Patreon thing. I'm trying to see if I can get some help maintaining the podcast. As you might imagine, it's hard. It takes time and things like that. So I'm trying to see, especially with this episode. I think I think it's a good fit. When you decide to build SaaS in as your main thing in life, money is not always flowing. Let's just say that. And lastly, I have this Zero to Gopher course, my last course that I launched last week. So this is what I believe are the basic fundamentals, or the fundamentals of Go that anyone needs to know before jumping in. So if you never have written any Go and you are interested into this language, this course is a great starting point. There's always a very generous discount on the show notes, and on that, let's dive into my favorite topic on earth, which is software as a service. I think we can safely say that I have seen, three major age in terms of software as a service. So I started building, or at least trying to create a sustainable business in 2008. But I started my entrepreneur mindset a long time before that. So I'm one of those that were participating, or at least probably more reading than writing in the Business of Software forum back then. So if you don't know that, Joel Spolsky is started a good old forum at that time, and there were quite an interesting bunch of people that are still building companies and software companies these days and things like that. I started there. It really opened my mind to what a single developer could do or try to do to replace their salary and things like that, replace their 9-to-5 job and things like that. So I was extremely interested by that, not because I was not enjoying what I was doing. It never was that. And I've talked a lot about the kind of work that I done at the beginning of my career. I was very lucky to be on a place where I call that it was like a playground. So basically, I inherited the IT department of a decently sized company in terms of the data that was there. So there was a lot of things to do, a lot of things to build, a lot of data for the size of the company. And at 20, I was 22 or 23. I've inherited everything. It was great, it was nice and all, but there was always this. I don't know. I was always looking at, especially on that forum, and a couple of other people back then that was starting to build small companies, software company, and selling that. So at first, of course, it was not really with the recurring revenue that we are knowing today and things like that. It was more like, oh, you know what? I have built this, this program, this good old Windows software that I'm selling for $30 and things like that, and people were paying. And I found that completely crazy. So I was always looking for that myself. So I have started a couple of projects that never really was any way or shape or form any kind of success and things like that. But just at first you need to start to just to familiarize yourself with this world, and putting something out there was a little bit more involving back then, I would say. But nonetheless, it was still approachable and still possible to do that. So here we are. I am, my 9-to-5 job back then is kind of pretty interesting. I'm not at all bored and things like that, but there's something inside me that is pushing me to try and build things, build products. So it was always that for me. It was always not the satisfaction of building, but the satisfaction of publishing something that some people are interested in. That was always the thing for me. It still is today. So it's not, it's not really the end result or things like that. It's just the fact that you are solving real problem and things like that, and people are ready to pay you to do that. So that kind of push of adrenaline and things like that, when you are receiving your first payment for something that you have built, it was something that I was looking for. So compared to being an employee, so you have your salaries that comes in each week or each 2 weeks, whatever, and things like that, and exactly choosing the other life is kind of a big decision, a very risky one. And you need to be very dedicated, especially back then, I would say, to be frank. So when I say that I think I've saw three major ages in terms of software as a service. I think I was there kind of early, even though I was not really building at the time. I was still there. I would say near the beginning of what software as a service was, when Basecamp was released and things like that. MailChimp was also an early company to do that. So I was at least at that place, not really building yet, just wondering, is it possible? Is it completely crazy to think to do that? And also at first it was never really meant to be replacing my main job. I just wanted some more excitement and build product that I wanted to build. And I was pretty young at the time. Was mainly wanting to build a hockey simulator game. So that was my first real product that I tried. Never really released it because it was crazy big. I did not really knew what I was entering into and things like that. So I mean, it took me forever to reach any kind of I won't even say an MVP. I never even reached that level. But the point is, I was already in the movement. I was already there. Was gathering all the information that I needed to at least take a decision at some point to see if I should try it or not. And that led me to at some point quit my job and start my own company, my own consulting company. So I decided to, when I started to see the kind of contracts that were signed at my company with consultant and whatnot, you cannot do anything else other than saying, you know what, I can do that myself as well, and suddenly get 3 or 4 times my hourly salary that I was having at the time. So it's kind of crazy to realize that at some point, it's crazy that a consultant can come to your company. They don't know anything about the company, and yet they are kind of praised and heard. And even though You might have said exactly the same things all over the place. That was like that for me. Maybe because I was very, very young, but I was still extremely. I was so passionate about programming, and I'm still are. Don't get me wrong. I was there, and the things I was saying was almost the same, if not better, than what the consultant was reporting and things like that. But just by the fact that they were charging way more money than I am, I guess that it it kind of brought some credibility to them. But seeing that, I was like, oh, okay, man, you know what? I think I can do that. I think I can just leave this job, which I liked a lot. But I wanted more. I wanted to control my universe, if you will. I wanted to also focus on, or at least be able to split my time and continue this dream of mine, which was to try and create a software as a service, try to create a product. And it was extremely difficult to do that while working, especially we had some kids at that time, and things like that. So the time, it was kind of rare and things like that. So I thought I should become a consultant. Now I might be able to work 1/3 of what I'm doing now and do the same amount of money, if not more. So I would have way more time for me. So that is how it started for me. So it was not about technology. It was not about anything like that. It was mainly lifestyle and getting a huge sense of purpose of what you are building, which I was at the company that I were. But when times pass and you are there 5, 6, 7 years now, things starts to, especially it was a small company. I was most of the time alone, or we were two or three programmers there. So the time that you are alone, so I don't know if any of you did that. Maybe it's less common these days. It was back in early 2000. Small companies, you were you could be alone. And the company that I was, which was acquired in 2023 by Equifax, the amount of data, like I was saying. So it was not a small company like, they only have a credit application. No. It was a gigantesque IT department with, a lot of software, a lot of system, a lot of things. So I was lucky enough to get them as my first client. So you always, this is something that most people can do when they decide to switch from an employee to a consultant. Sometimes, often, the companies that they were employed to offer them to stay as a consultant, and this is what I did. And to be completely frank, this is kind of crazy when you think about that, because from 1 week to the next, your salary is changing like crazy. And even though I was trying to negotiate my salary along those years and things like that, just turning to a consultant, it immediately it's kind of, I don't know, man. It's kind of crazy to think that, okay, why last week I was not worth that, but now that I'm off the payroll and wanting to go elsewhere, now I'm suddenly worth a lot of money. So I started to feel a little bit strange about how companies are sometimes treating their employees. So I was starting to ask myself, okay, so it's all of that for me when it started. It was a mix of the fire inside me to want to build a product that people really want, and if I can get money out of that, well, imagine that would be crazy. And also at that time, which is mid 2000, it was a hard time, I think. I believe, for software engineer and things like that. It was not like today with the salaries that people are having and things like that. So things have changed, but more than that, I was trying to see if I could be able to just survive without being tied to a company. I'm trying to find my word, because it turns out okay for me, but it's still a kind of crazy decision that you need to make. You are still leaving a lot of money on the table, especially at the beginning when the contracts are hard to find. So this is the consulting, but the software as a service part is even harder. I mean, this is, now you are needing to learn to do marketing and all of this new hat that you need to learn and things like that, new jobs and things like that, because now there's nobody that you're kind of alone, if you will, and you need to find customers for your product, and you don't even know that your product is good and things like that. So it's not really about technology, and a lot of people, a lot of software engineer, fall into that trap of according way too much importance to the technology. It's not at all that. When you are building a software as a service, when you want to build a software that you sell, we don't care about the technology at all. It's all about, is this thing going to work or not, or is this thing appealing to a group of people, and are they ready to pay you and things like that. So that was the first part, if we can say that, of my journey with SaaS. So basically discovering this, trying to jump into this exciting new world for me, and building product that nobody wanted. The second phase, I would say, started near the end of 2000, so 2008, 9. So all until 2020 or 2021, whatever. Until the LMS arrive. But the second phase I've seen was what I would consider the golden age of software as a service. So now it's recognized that recurring revenue is kind of crazy when you think about that. You're basically, if you are, lucky and good enough to build something that people want, and there's you are getting new customer more than what you're losing per month, and you're basically printing money and things like that. And this is when I started to really go deep into this idea of trying to build a software service to sustain myself and my family, because now we have 2 kids, and consulting is great, but it's not really what I want. It's not you're not building anything for you. As soon as you stop working, nobody is going to pay you and things like that. So a product, especially with the recurring revenue, is not guaranteed to have money, but you can still take 2 weeks off, and you continue to there's money that still enters into your bank account and whatnot. So it's very hard, though. The bar was already high, but not that high, I would say, compared to what we have today. So back then, and I'm talking about, like I said, 2008, 2009, 2010, things like that. You could think of putting something out there, and there was not much. I remember I I built an invoicing application. So I was doing consulting. So basically, I had this idea of building a kind of project management, invoicing, time tracker, and things like that. A typical application. There were already a bunch, but not that much. So if you were able to cut some attention back then you were able to get some kind of traffic more easily than what it is today, and even if we go back, way a little bit before LMS, when people were still using search engine and whatnot, it started to get some crazy difficult at the end of the 2018, 19, 2020 and things like that. But in 2008 and 9, it was still possible. For example, there were a newspaper that did an article on a Twitter application that I sold, in here in Canada, which is completely crazy when you think about that. So the coverage was there. It was possible to it was still possible to attract some eyes to your product by being a good old programmer and not being that much of a marketing person, or at least being too much out there. So you could do small things. And Twitter was launched in 2008, so that was kind of the beginning of the build in public, movement, if you will. So that was, for me, it was great. I was posting what I was doing there. I had a blog that people was still reading back then. So there were possibilities to do simple marketing things for programmers that was not too crazy, and still get some eyes on your product, and even paid customer and whatnot. So even though I was not really having much success, it started to climb. I mean, I was having product that was doing $500 in MRR, reaching the 1,000 and things like that. So it was starting to feel like, okay, maybe I could think of stopping consulting at some point. So it was a nice second revenue at that time. Very, very hard to pass some plateau, because at some point this is what happened with SaaS. You kind of reach some plateau, and it's pretty difficult to go to the next step and whatnot. But even though it was still hard, I think it was a little bit easier to at least get some initial traction back then. So that's why I think it was the golden age of software as a service. The VCs, all the money that we are seeing now in AI and LLMs and whatnot, it was basically on software as a service in between 2028 and 2020, 2008. So even though that was still a little bit easier, it was still a crazy decision to take. At some point, you need to put the efforts if you want to see some result, and building a product and trying to market that outside of the consulting is very, very daunting quickly. And especially now that you are doing that for a couple of years, you start to feel a little bit down. You start to there's a lot of up and downs when you are building product and things like that. But when you are not getting that much success, and now with the building public and the proliferation of people that are succeeding around you, and there were great community back then. I was part of the Micropreneur Academy of Rob Walling very early. I was one of his first customer there. you start to doubt a little bit, but still, I mean, when you are an entrepreneur in by trade or whatever the right way to call that, when you want to build and you need to build that, you need to live this life, quickly you are realizing that, it's very hard not to do that. But that being said, I mean, only a fraction of people was succeeding. So I don't have any real data, but what I've seen is I would be shocked if 10% of all the people that I've seen building software product was succeeding. So that means that 90% were either not really be able to sustain themselves or was not really making any money and things like that. I mean, it's kind of crazy when you think about that. It's not like deciding to create a brick and mortar shop on the corner of a great location. So if you put your store there, at some point there will be people that will enter and see, and try to look at what you have. So it was getting harder and harder to get traffic from the search engine and whatnot, and the competition. When the masses discovered that, recurring revenue is what we need now, that brought a lot of people, a lot of the companies and things like that. And like I was saying, VCs was starting to inject a lot of money into software as a service. So in that decade, it really changed how the level of difficulties. So the entry level, and also trying to succeed, was going to be harder and harder as the time was passing, because now there were a lot of people that were interested into software service, and more and more people means that you might start to see a lot of competition in the market that you are, and also they might have a lot of money, because now it's just a huge difference between a company that is VC backed and you trying to do that alone. You have a lot of you have a lot of how can I say that? A lot of things that you can do better and quicker, and compared to bigger organization as a solopreneur. Let's say that you are maybe alone, maybe you are 2 or 3 in a bootstrap software company. You still can move very fast. So I remember, back in that time. So this is when I joined, Justin McGill, and we built LeadFuse. I also built Roadmap in that decade, with a team of 2 other founders. And now you kind of need to take some decision, because you still can do that alone, but it's still very difficult to do it and compete with company that receive millions in funding. Now what you want to do, they will be able to take the paid advertisement, they will be able to hire a lot of people that you don't have. But what they won't be able to do is that when you meet on Monday and you decide to do something, it could be done by Friday or even Wednesday. Let's say that you want to build a feature, or you want to you had this discussion with a customer, and they would need X. So shipping fast was kind of a superpower that small teams always were able to do, and bigger companies could just not follow that. But sometimes it can lead to some problems, especially for some software engineers. So sometimes you will kind of bloat your own product. This is what I was doing at the beginning. I was talking about this invoicing, time tracker and whatnot. So at the beginning, when you start building a product as a software engineer, you will need to have some sense that the product is evolving, that you are doing the right thing. And what are we doing as programmers is, well, we will write code. This is where we feel good. This is where we think that there is progress and things like that. But it's a false positive. It's doing probably the opposite, because now not only there is a ton of feature, the customers that are trying to jump into your software might be extremely confused, and now it's, there's buttons everywhere, it's bloated, you don't really think about your feature carefully and how to present them to the user, so the user experience is affected, and now you are shooting yourself in the foot directly, because by trying to feel better and try to get this sense of, oh, you know what, I am completing some things, I am advancing, my project is going great, the product is growing, but no, it's not. So that is one of the most difficult part for a technical founder to understand, that the technology is not the key at all. And I've been saying that a lot, and even on the Go Reddit, in the couple of times that there were some thread about SaaS and things like that, I always say things like, you can build your MVP in any language. That does not matter, because you won't have any customers at first, and even if you have 10, 20, 100 customers, you can do that in anything. And at some point, I guarantee you that you will need to rewrite it, because now you have learned so much about what the customers that are ready to pay you, what they really want, in fact, and might be completely different than the idea that you had previously, or at least originally, when you started to think about this product and things like that. So now, inevitably, your product will need a major reel. And I have rarely been part of a team where where a major refactor, not a refactor, but more than that. So it's a little bit more than that. And often the best way to do that is just to restart from scratch. I know that Gumroad did that. The founder, which I don't remember his name, but he mentioned that at some point, he built something really quick in Python. I don't even know, maybe it was Django, maybe not, but I know it wasn't on Python. But at some point, they just, when Gumroad started to be big, they rewrote that. So FreshBooks did exactly the same. So they ran this old software for a long time, but at some point, they approached that differently. They started a competitor. Imagine, believe it or not, they started a competitor themselves, built the product, and got some feedback there. And once they were happy and this product was growing nicely, now they kind of merged the two and changed the original product, which is kind of crazy when. It's a little bit next level compared to just saying, oh, you know what, I will rewrite this. No, they started another company. So all of that to say that it was great. It was still very, very hard. I won't even say that I got some success, but LeadFuse and Roadmap to me were successes, and across a couple of other failure in that decade, still a great time to build SaaS, in my opinion, back then. But things change. I don't know if we will recall the early 2020, I don't know if it will be the COVID, the pandemic, or it will be the arrival of LLMs and whatnot. That will be in a long time from now. I sense that LLMs will probably be more talked about, and it had an impact. So that would be the third age. I would say that I've seen things changed a lot, and just by enabling a lot of noise in the software service, well, in any kind of market, when you think about that, any kind of industry. So there is a ton of things that are being built, small project, and you can see that on the Go Reddit as well. The sub, they had to build a category because now people were kind of posting small, very, very small project, or even, a project that they have built with the AI and vibe coding and whatnot. So, I mean, at some point it affected a lot of community, it affected a lot of industry, and SaaS is not different. Now, there were a lot of people that were probably using the no-code movement, 7-8 years from 2021, maybe 5 years. I don't recall, but so now they were able to be able to build their own product without any kind of engineer, and notoriously we have seen one particular example that the guy needed to close his company because I don't know, there was something that the AI was doing. It was requesting too much request to the AI model and whatnot, and now it was costing him. I don't know. I don't know the story. I'm not very, very interested into those things, to be frank. I'm just trying to see what is going on at the moment, what impacts it did. So to me, the proliferation of a lot of noise is one thing. Secondly, customers are trying to be extremely cautious about new company because now anyone can put quote unquote a software out there, but they don't offer customer support. They don't, and now now there is a lot of AI as well that will try to answer the customer. We are losing a little bit of the edge that small company were having, which was this human touch, this personal. You could talk with the founder. The founders were there to help their customers, but not only that, but they usually knew exactly or had some kind of experience with the domain and were able to do something. Now it's just, I want to try this. I will try to build a product to do that, and yeah. Inevitably, when there is a lot of noise, there is a lot of problem with that, because like I was saying, now typical customers might want to be careful. So that's one problem. And another one is the search engine. Basically, there's just almost no traffic coming from search engine these days. It's crazy. It was increasingly difficult as more and more product reach the market. Like I'm saying, in the last decade, there were a lot of SaaS that was built. Now it's still more, but it's pretty hard. You cannot really hope to get some decent traffic from the search engine. It's not very clear where we are going with that. So what it leaves the social networks, the paid advertisement, trying to forge some partnership with other companies and things like that. There is still a lot of ways, but that also put a lot of noise on things like LinkedIn or other social networks that now people are trying very, very hard to push their things. And since a lot of people now are building, I would say, not really half-baked, but let's be honest and be really frank here. It's not because you are using an AI, for 5 hours and have something at the end that you can call that a real product. There's a lot of security problem. There's a lot of information that could be lost and things like that. There is a ton of things that can happen, and when you think about that, this is kind of crazy. I don't want to see our field, and especially related to software as a service, because again, this is my passion. This is where I am. I'm currently trying to build another product myself with my wife. I won't stop doing that. This, it will work or I will die trying. This is basically where I am now. But what I'm seeing at the moment is, I don't know that I like that a lot, to be frank, because I put myself on the customer's shoes, and now I'm just, I don't want to see the quality of the software that we are building or that we are using, for that matter, lowering because of people, believing that this LLM things is going to be all magical and all nice and work really great. So I think there is some caution to be exercised at this moment for founders that do not know much about security, do not know much about technology and things like that. So yeah, you might be able to build yourself a small application, but there will be some transaction at some point. There will be some personal information at some point. So I mean, yeah, it's not that great in my opinion at the moment, and especially people are starting to be fatigued a little bit to be bombarded by a lot of things, which is probably good, because we might return from this hype, and I'm seeing that a lot these days. The messages that I'm sensing from a lot of places seems to change, and I'm very happy about that, to be honest. I'm not completely against what's going on, and if a non-technical founder wants to build their SaaS with AI, by all means go for it. It's not really that, but at least put the bar high enough to have a good quality software. Put the bar high enough to have a good customer service. It's not because you are putting this AI chatbot that you can say that you are offering a good support. And I keep saying, keep taking this example of Postmark. Postmark was that great company for me a couple of years, 5 years ago, and things like that. So the customer service was great. You sense that you were replied by software engineers at the end of and things like that. When you had real hard problem with your emails and whatnot. The last problem I had, they put me in front of that AI and it never got resolved, and a human contacted me like 3 or 4 days later, and I replied to their message and never got a reply. This is, I mean, where are we going with that? So software as a service is not that. It's supposed to be a team, a solo entrepreneur, or a small team that are passionate about something. They want to build something to be different. They want to build something to delight customers, and they want to serve that customer base uh, you know, from the best way that is possible to do that. And I'm sorry, but LLMs and AI won't do that. At least not now. So again, some things to think about. But this is where we are at the moment, and it's pretty it's way difficult these days to get started. I would say not to build, obviously. But it never was about technology either way. So it's getting very hard to just start with your initial marketing boost and things like that. I think that the companies, or at least the small teams that prove to be responsive and there for their customers, or at least bring back some kind of human interaction and whatnot, I think people are craving for that more and more. I think we have hit this point of, getting responses from the AI feels really cumbersome and boring at this point. I don't know. So that might be a good differentiator at the moment. This is certainly something that we will do from our side. And yes, I mean, it's still there in my head. It won't never leave, even though it's getting harder and harder to succeed. But it depends also what success means to you. So for me, it's just to pay the rent and the basics that we need as a family. So I'm not looking to do like 2 million ARR and things like that. I don't care. It's not that. If we reach that, then okay, good. But that is not the case. And I think when your expectations are realistic, and when you are working towards realistic goals, it really helps to prevent burnouts and things like that. Because let's be honest, it's not an easy task, and I'm not alone. Even though I started for real in 2008 to build and launch products, I'm not alone in that, and having tried how much time, like 17 years. This is kind of discouraging just to say, but we are a lot in that boat, and it's important for me, but yeah, it's not for everyone, for sure. And you really need to think about the repercussion of doing this. Because if I were to calculate, if I have been a 9-to-5 employees all these years, and or if I had done more consulting, of course I would have more money at this moment. But for me, purpose and lifestyle is way higher than money at the moment. So that's why I'm continuing. So hopefully that was kind of interesting. This again, software as a service is a topic that I really enjoy. And Go is a great language to build a SaaS. And I created a course about that a long time ago that I might refresh soon. So on that, thank you for listening.